Let the natural wonder begin. You're looking live off the coast of Oregon, where in just moments we will experience the beginning of this total solar eclipse. You're looking at those pictures right now. That's the sun, the moon already beginning its work as it crosses into the path between the sun, of course, and Earth. It's going to continue to do this today, creating a sight that has been described by most people who have ever seen it as breathtaking and so rare it hasn't been seen across the U.S., the entire U.S. in 99 years. Not since 1918 did a total solar eclipse cross the entire country like it's about to do in just a few minutes here. And the last time a total solar eclipse was seen from anywhere in the U.S. was 38 years ago. The date, February 26, 1979.
This is an ABC News special.
Not until August 21st, 2017, will another eclipse be visible from North America 38 years from now.
It's the Great American Eclipse, and the sensational journey starts right now. With David Muir reporting from inside the path of totality in Charleston, South Carolina.
1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Hello, everyone, from Charleston, South Carolina. Our team is live across the country at this hour. You know, that was World News Tonight anchor Frank Reynolds promising 38 years ago we'd be back to cover this total solar eclipse. And here we are, and proud to be here. And there it is again. Let's go live to the sun just over Lincoln City, Oregon at this hour, about to be eclipsed by the moon. And if you look at the lower part of your screen there, you can see the clock. The key here is 1:16. That's our first max totality that we'll see. It'll be coming from Oregon. So watch the clock. We'll be going live to our team there. You know, this whole path of totality is going to create a shadow 70 miles wide on the ground. And as that shadow moves across the country, it'll carve a path 3,000 miles long. And listen to this. It'll take just an hour and 33 minutes for the eclipse to cast that shadow traveling coast to coast. That shadow moving at an average speed of 1,800 miles per hour. That's more than 3 times faster than a commercial jet. The total eclipse will span across 14 states this afternoon, ending its journey just north of where I'm standing right here in South Carolina before heading out to sea. And in just a few moments, the moon is going to pass directly between the sun, the earth, completely blocking all light and creating a black hole where, of course, the sun should be. And as it happens, the temperatures in that shadow could drop an average of 10 to 12 degrees. We're going to see what happens with that today. Millions of Americans, of course, are waiting right now. And the closer you are to that center line right there, right through the middle of that shadow, the longer you'll be in complete darkness, known as totality. But it's fleeting, lasting up to 2 minutes, 40 seconds or so. 12 million Americans live in this path of 100% totality. But look at how far that eclipse spreads to the north and south of that line. Hundreds of millions will see some version of this eclipse today. We are in this together. We know many families have already traveled toward that center line where they will gather in small towns, farms, and national parks, all to watch this extraordinary sight. We have an entire team of ABC News correspondents and cameras coast to coast live as the solar eclipse moves across the country. And if you are one of the millions who traveled to see it or will see it right in your backyard, your neighborhood, we want you to be part of this special with us. Share your pictures, your videos with us, and we're going to try to get as many on the air as we can throughout the next couple of hours. Just go to our website, abcnews.com, and you'll see right there how to do it. We can't wait to see what you capture. So why is this happening today, and why is it so rare? Take a look at this. The Earth rotates on its axis, making a full turn every 24 hours. The moon circles the Earth every 31 days, and the Earth and the moon then rotate around the sun every 365 days. Keep in mind, the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but it's also 400 times further away. And at that distance, it makes the sun and the moon appear to us to be the same size from here on Earth, which is why the moon completely covers the sun when their orbits intersect. A total solar eclipse happens during a new moon, when the moon moves directly between the Earth and the sun. This perfect alignment, which creates a total solar eclipse, occurs about every 18 months. Usually we don't see it, because 70% of the Earth's surface is water, and it usually happens over our vast oceans or remote areas of other countries. In fact, it's been 99 years since the last solar eclipse was seen across the entire continental United States, and it won't happen again until 2045. We have waited long enough, that's for sure. So get ready, it's coming, and you're about to see it all live right here on ABC. Again, the time right now, 1:04 Eastern. The first totality happens at 1:16, max totality from Oregon, so we'll take you there live. We've got so many questions. First, of course, the weather, the clouds. Where will we see it best? Where will it blow our minds today? Where will the clouds break our hearts? I see a few of the clouds here in Charleston, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed here. Let's bring in meteorologist Ginger Z. She's in Nashville, which, by the way, the entire city. It's the largest American city to fall right in the path of this total eclipse. And Ginger, you've been looking at the weather across that entire path, that ribbon across the country.
Oh, that I have, David. Such an important forecast. David, let's head back to you.
Yeah. Really, no question. We needed this moment of unity in this country, and nature's wonder is giving it to us. I want to look at this picture that I'm seeing coming in live from Oregon. You can actually see the sun and the moon almost completely covering the sun now. And keep in mind, 116, of course, is that key moment when it'll be in total darkness there. The first hint of darkness falling, of course, on the shores of the Pacific coast. The totality of the eclipse, 116, 10:16 Pacific, it's minutes away. It's going to last 1 minute, 58 seconds, and then we're on the move from there right across the country. The shores lined with families at this hour, and meteorologist Rob Marciano back in a part of the country he spent years covering. He's in Lincoln City, Oregon. And Rob, you've got the glasses, you know, we all do here, and we just want to make sure that everyone knows that authorities really aren't joking about this one. They say wear eye protection, and they really mean it today.
Yeah, and really during the whole thing, David, I have these special glasses, the glasses they've been giving out really across the country. They look cheap, but they are mandatory viewing. They block out 99.9% of the solar rays, but you can see this eclipse in its entirety. So it's nothing short of spectacular. I gotta say, when you see even the partial eclipse across this country, you want to take it in. It is the great American eclipse. Hey, there's another way to watch this if you don't have these glasses, and that is to make a pinhole projector. I found these guys in the parking lot, and you got, what, a shoebox, and then what else?
Shoebox, paper inside, tin foil, and a pinhole.
And it works. 1776 was the last time we had a coast-to-coast eclipse totally, exclusively to Americans. How much more American can it get? This is the great American eclipse, baby. I hope you all take part of it. David?
Thank you, Rob. We're going to come right back to you in just a couple of minutes so you can show us what you're seeing. And I just want to say, you know, we've all got these glasses here, and you can see the setup here and all these bright lights. I put these on, and you see nothing. So when Rob says, you know, put the glasses on and test with the light on your iPhone, that's a really good indicator that, you know, these glasses are probably approved and you're in good shape. So here's the question. What's it going to be like? I thought we'd check in with someone who has experienced it before. Bill Nye, the science guy, you know him. He's the CEO of the Planetary Society, the author of the New York Times bestseller, Everything All at Once. He's at the Homestead National Monument in Beatrice, Nebraska. And Bill, no question in your mind this is going to change people today?
I hope so.
I want to ask you what's actually going to happen when darkness falls, because a lot of people wonder about that temperature drop, anywhere from 10, 12 degrees, animals being confused, wildlife perhaps, and you'll be able to see, you know, a number of planets and stars up there. So a pretty significant change in that tiny window of darkness that we're going to witness here.
Well, it becomes night. So as it's cooler at night than it is during the day, the birds and insects act as though it's night. We are gathered to celebrate our understanding of what I like to call our place in space, our place in the cosmos. It's just an exciting thing that the clouds cleared at this moment.
You're absolutely right. A reminder of where our place is in the cosmos today. Bill Nye, stick around with us here. We're going to be talking to you as the afternoon progresses here. We want to go to Carbondale, Illinois, dubbed the capital of the eclipse because it's right in the area. This is really incredible, where totality is going to last the longest and where it will return in a few years from now. We'll talk about that in a bit. Dr. Lucianne Walkowicz, an astronomer at the Adler Planetarium in Chicago and the incoming chair of astrology at the Library of Congress. Dr. Walkowicz, first of all, I love this because you study this, you know more about this than any of us out here, but it's still your first eclipse?
It's my first eclipse.
Dr. Walkowicz, we're going to be checking back in with you as the afternoon progresses. She mentioned Carbondale, by the way. It's going to be the longest max totality. That's about 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Some have said 2 minutes, 41. But that shows you how quickly this is going to move. One of the best places to experience the eclipse just maybe Madras, Oregon, billed itself as a solar town, hoping for the best eclipse watching weather in the country. They are pulling out all the stops for an expected crowd of 20,000. ABC's Matt Gutman is joining the party there, as he always does. Matt, the crowd is really enormous. I've seen the traffic jams for people all weekend long trying to get there.
20,000, David, just here in what's called Solarfest, but a spectator I spoke to had a different name for it. He said this is basically Woodstock for nerds. Now, NASA is based here as well because this place should offer the most unobscured sight right into that eclipse. It's almost so near that I can look into the sun. Where I'm looking almost directly at the sun, it is pretty close. Everybody here has got their glasses. And people celebrating all sorts of things. There's a guy who's going to pop up the question to his girlfriend. Shh, don't tell. There are people celebrating birthdays. You can sense the enthusiasm in the crowd. It's getting nearer and nearer. It's almost there, and you can already feel the temperature drop, David. Pretty amazing.
Well, I hope she says yes, and I'm glad she's there and not at home watching. Otherwise, you'd know it's coming. Anyway, let us know what she says there. And, Matt, we love seeing that sun shining brightly on your face. That means they're going to have a spectacular sight right there. They already have a spectacular sight in Oregon. So let's get back to meteorologist Rob Marciano. Again, Lincoln City, Oregon. Total solar eclipse will be the first visible in the United States. 1:16, about a minute, less than a minute away now, Rob. Tell us what you're seeing.
And it's getting dark, David. It is so spooky right now, right? The temperature is dropping, the excitement is growing here. I hope that we're going back and forth to the special camera that has this eclipse, and I've got to put my glasses on to witness this. We've just gone completely dark, at least by the way we see it here. Oh no, still a sliver left. Is that the diamond ring? Would that be the diamond ring, perhaps? Just a sliver left. A little more. Totality here on the Oregon coastline.
Just an incredible sight, Rob. We're looking at the corona of the sun, the atmosphere of the sun.
It is incredibly dark. It looks like night has fallen. The clouds certainly lost. That is commitment, baby. And we need the lights to see all this. We need the lights. I got to check it out one more time, David. Oh my, it is just absolutely spectacular. Look how dark it is, how quiet it is. The air is still. This is like being in the eye of a hurricane. It is spooky. It is spiritual.
I gotta tell you, Rob, America is watching this
surreal.
with you.
It's amazing.
And when you see the corona around the sun there, Rob, the atmosphere of the sun, talk us through the science of that. I mean, that's hotter than the sun itself. It's millions and millions of degrees Fahrenheit.
It's, you know, you're talking about, thousands of degrees Fahrenheit, but what we're seeing right now is the corona, the outer atmosphere of the sun, which we don't get to see any other time. This is why scientists are launching balloons. This is why they got their telescopes out. This is why they're so jazzed about this, because we're able to see things that we don't normally see, with the exception of the eclipse. And different colors are happening right now. It's unbelievable. We're starting to see it. We're starting to get out of totality now, David. That was our 2 minutes of ecstasy, quite honestly.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. To let people know at home how we're pulling this off with our photographers. Yeah, Rob, I just want to let folks at home know how we're pulling off the technology of this. You know, the photographers operating these cameras have to slide in a lens, if you will, into the camera to shoot up at the beginning of it and at the end. But during totality, they can actually pull that out. So that's why you're seeing some of the shifting shades there on your screen. But Rob, now we're seeing on the other side here what happens. It's almost the exact reverse. And you talked about those Bailey's beads shining down, coming through the valleys. That's named after Francis Bailey, who first figured out what that was.
Exactly. I mean,
in fact, they are right now. Let's go to Madras, Oregon, where Matt Gutman is standing by. Remember, Matt was just under blazing sun a moment ago. Matt, talk us through it.
It's hard to. I'm almost speechless. I'm going to have our cameraman, Glenn, turn down the lights so you actually get a sense of how... Turn it off, Glenn. Let's see how dark it really is. It's pitch black here. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Right now, we're looking at the corona that's 1,000,000 degrees, so much hotter than the surface of the sun, just about 6,000 degrees. You can see it right there. Now we're getting the diamond ring effect right now. The sun is slowly being taken out of the shadow as the light increases markedly. You can see it's like someone shining a spotlight on this field. There are thousands of people here. David, 100,000 people just in this part of Oregon outside of Madras, feasting their eyes on a spectacle that many of us will never get to see again. Back to you, David. This is a pretty remarkable sight
Just
here.
incredible. 10:22 Pacific time there. You're looking live at Madras, Oregon. That's Matt Gutman and the team. And let's go back to that shot if we could. We literally saw it go dark there there for about 2 minutes' time. That was their max totality. Now the sun has come back out. We are less than 10 minutes away from our next moment of max totality in this country. I want to bring in Bill Nye as we look at those pictures from Oregon. That was just stunning. Bill, just explain to us why those speeds change and why these moments are really so fleeting. I mean, this is traveling very quickly.
Why they're so fleeting? Well, you were just talking about the speed of the moon relative to the Earth's surface. And keep in mind, every time you have a birthday, you've gone around the sun about a billion more kilometers, a billion more kilometers.
Got it.
We're celebrating
in the meantime, look at
eclipse.
We're looking live there in the lower corner, Sun Valley. You got 1 minute, 23 seconds now to the next totality. As you can see there, just a sliver of the sun remains. You can see they're actually changing the lens on the camera. That's what they have to do before they can actually show you the total eclipse. Let's go to Olivia Smith in Sun Valley, Idaho. I mentioned how quickly this is moving. We're now in Idaho. And Olivia, what are you seeing?
Hey, David. Yeah, we're here. It's getting cold up here.
And what a key moment this is, as you know, Rob was talking about earlier. This is the moment as the sun begins to completely disappear when people will be looking for, you know, those so-called Bailey's beads, bits of lights poking through the canyons and craters on the roughed-up surface of the moon. That's actually what you see, the glimmering lights. And they talk about the diamond ring at the very last moment, that blast of light. And just listen to the crowd now waiting for this. All right, thanks so much, Olivia. This is a stunning sight. And just the beauty of the colors. You know, we normally only obviously experience this, you know, at sunset, at twilight. And now so many parts of this country are going to see it turn into night and then day again within a matter of just a couple of minutes' time. Next up, Idaho Falls. You can see the lower corner of your screen. 1 minute, 53 seconds to the next totality, and Eva Pilgrim is standing by. This is the official NASA observation site, right, Eva?
That's right, David. And they have a lot of scientists here that are actually working, because this is a rare opportunity them to actually do experiments. And then they actually told us after the diamond ring to look at the ground, because you can see shadow bands. It's coming around. Wow. And we are almost literally in totality now. This is the one time that it's actually safe to look at it. And as you look on the ground, they were telling us to look for those shadow bands, and you can see some of those shadow bands on the ground now. Just an incredible sight. Completely dark in the middle of the day. Not like anything that you could ever imagine seeing, David. One of the other interesting things that they're doing,
what I have right here is that this... Yeah, go ahead.
One of the other interesting things they're doing are launching balloons with bacteria in them, because the stratosphere above the Earth at this time is like Mars. It's similar to Mars, so they're trying to see if they can have life on Mars and if that bacteria will survive. So they're running all these experiments, and they're watching it out of this location. Some really interesting things.
Yeah, a little cosmic geography because of what it's not only doing to the sun, but what it's doing to the Earth's atmosphere, as Eva points out. And just to keep in mind here, what Eva's experiencing, this max totality, is 1 minute, 48 seconds there. It shows you that in all these different spots, it depends on where you are in that 70-mile ribbon. That's what determines how long your totality lasts. I want to take you to the next picture because this is extraordinary. You know, never eclipse the bride, they say, but let's go to the next location where there's one bride who was determined. Look at this. She was determined
to all of you
to deliver her vows in the middle of the Great American Solar Eclipse. Let's listen in. This is taking place in St. Joseph, Missouri. By some estimates, 500,000 people have come to Joseph, Missouri. That would be more than 6 times the population. They're not all there for the wedding, obviously. But this bride was determined to get married on this day, at this moment. And Sarah Haynes, you love a good wedding. And somehow you scored an invite to this.
I love a good wedding.
I love it.
And so going
6:28 to the next totality in Casper, Wyoming. Sarah, thanks so much. We're going to come back to you shortly. And she'd always wanted to be an astronomist, that bride. A couple of injuries got in the way, so now she's going to get married during the Great American Eclipse. When we come back, our coverage continues of this moment of unity across this country. We've said goodbye to Oregon and Idaho now. We'll head out to Casper, Wyoming, then on to Nebraska, followed by the rest of the country. We're coming back in a moment. Back now with ABC News Live coverage of the Great American Eclipse. And I know these faces right here. That's ABC News President James Goldston, his wife Laura, and the 3 boys out there. If ever there was a day to take off, the boss knew the day. We're having just as much fun as he is, by the way. We're going to check in with Casper, Wyoming in just a moment. That's where the Goldsons are. But look up above me right here. We're in, obviously, South Carolina, the very last state. I put these on. I can't see a thing. And not the camera or the lights or anything. But when I look up, I can actually see the sun beginning to be carved out by the moon. It's really kind of extraordinary. And I wanted to look at it now because we're fighting with some clouds, but we were able to actually see it. And this is what people are seeing across the country. You can actually see as it begins to happen. But we want to get back to the part of the country that's really seeing the moment. Everything from churches, fairgrounds packed with viewing parties. We're going to go to Adrienne Banker. She's in Casper, Wyoming. And Adrienne, you know, the incredible thing about Wyoming is all across that vast state, you know, in Glendale, Wyoming, a 200-person town has been turned into a town of thousands. There's like 20,000 people on just one of the airstrips there.
You know what, David? It's amazing. The population here in Casper is 59,000 there.
We can feel it. We can see it right along with you, Adrienne. Totality's at 1:43, so we've got 30 seconds left before we see it go pitch black there in Casper. I'm joined by a former astronaut, Mike Massimino, who was with me earlier here this morning. It is happening. You're absolutely right, Adrienne. You can hear the crowd going wild. Mike, this is just an extraordinary thing to witness here on Earth.
Yeah. We are all geeked out about it. Everybody's energized. This is what they came for.
Just an extraordinary moment to share with you, Adrienne, and all of those people there in Wyoming. And Wyoming is such a stunning state to begin with. As we watch this happen in Casper, you know, it's 2 minutes now to the end of Totality there. Look at that. What a stunning sight. And again, what I was saying earlier is our photographers are actually changing the lenses out so that they're able to show you that. It is really for their own safety because they're the ones looking through the viewfinder on their cameras to look up and capture that moment for you. But Wyoming, just think about the vastness of that state. You've got Yellowstone National Park, which is north of the path of Totality. So you're not really seeing anything there, but the Grand Teton National Park, anyone who's there, depending on where you are in that park, you're seeing this as well. But what just a stunning sight. And listen to the crowd. If we could just take a moment, I want to bring that sound up just to listen to the folks taking this in.
It's amazing, David. It really is like the glow from that corona is beautiful. And you can take your glasses off during the Totality moment, but people are taking their shots. These kids are seeing this, grown-ups for the very first time. They've never seen a total eclipse in their lifetime.
You made the point. Oh, look at that shot. That is just an extraordinary shot we just saw. Obviously, that's the corona around the sun, which is the atmosphere around the sun, which we normally don't see to the naked eye. It's only in this moment when essentially we have a coin on top of a coin right now. You know, the moon is not nearly as large as the sun, but because of its distance from Earth, it appears to be. And that's how this magical moment at the new moon actually happens. Beautiful picture. Someone who knows this picture far better than I do is Mike Massimino. He's a former astronaut. And Mike, you and I were talking this morning. You've been to space, obviously, a couple of times, a couple of shuttle missions, but there is nothing like all of these American families who are able to take this in themselves. They're all astronauts for a day.
Yeah, you know, David, the one sad thing that space see these wonderful things take place out in our universe and on our planet is that you have some friends with you on your crew, but a lot of your friends are left behind on Earth, and your family's back on Earth, and you don't get to share it with them. But this is a great way for us all to share it together.
Hey, Mike, while I have you, you know, we just saw it, I think, the clearest we've seen it yet so far as we've been on the air today, and that is the diamond ring. It's that moment right before it's done and right afterwards. Right there, you're seeing it, that flash of light. It's just so extraordinary. Explain to folks why that's happening. We understand Bailey's beads. It's the light coming through the many valleys and craters of the moon. But what happens in that final second where we see that blast of light, the diamond ring?
Yeah, what you're seeing is just that final blast of what's coming through the craters getting extinguished.
All right, Mike Massimino, former astronaut with us. Mike, thanks so much. And as I tweeted earlier, the closest I'll ever be to being an astronaut is being with you, Mike. So we really do appreciate your insight. We love having you on with us. In the meantime, you're not to go from, you know, astronomy and science to pop culture, but right now the #1 song on iTunes is Total Eclipse of the Heart. And I would gather that song should be on the playlist at the wedding that Sarah Haynes is at. Sarah's talking to the bride right now. So I want to tell Sarah that we're listening. I don't want them to get caught on national TV not knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Sarah, can you hear us?
Hey, Beauty and the Beast song.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, David is here now.
I love that, Sarah. Wish them well for us. And listen, they know in their one location right there in Joseph, Missouri, that the Earth, the moon, the sun, and two hearts the line today, so they ought to be proud of that. She worked really hard, that bride, to make that. Cross-country chase takes us to Alliance, Nebraska. And you know Carhenge, you've heard of this, America's answer to Stonehenge, about as close as you can get to the original thing, put together by a family. It all started with a family reunion back in the late 80s, but they're about to see this totality, max totality in 24 seconds. Let's get right to ABC's Nick Watt. Nick, what are you seeing or not seeing?
David, it is about to happen. For over an hour, it's been getting darker and darker and darker. It is about to happen here at Carhenge. By the way, that family reunion where they built this thing, I've spoken to the family. They've admitted they were a little bit drunk when they did it. And here we have it. It's happened. It's happened. And it has just happened here. There is not a cloud over. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. I may be speechless.
Just an extraordinary sight,
Holy
Nick. We're
moly.
watching right along with you, and that's what they call Carhenge, as I was mentioning. And Nick, you mentioned that they said they might have been a little inebriated when they put that together back in '87, but I love it. 38 cars rescued from nearby farms, from the dumps. They painted them all gray, but right now you can't see the color. You can just see the outline of them under that extraordinary moment there.
And, you know, they built Carhenge. They had no idea it was going to be slap bang in the middle of total eclipse. And by the way, all of those cars, David, they're all American cars, perfect for our great American eclipse. And
I love that.
I've never seen anything like this.
Hey, listen, I heard there wasn't.
You can.
I heard there wasn't. I heard there wasn't a hotel room for over 150 miles where you are, Nick. You staying in one of those cars?
Listen, David, the nearest RV we could find was in Oklahoma City. So we had to drive that up from there. There is not a hotel room to be found anywhere. And the weather played its part. No clouds. So happy I could cry. Okay, and it's going to last here for 2.5 minutes, which is one of the longer places.
You can get away with crying. Nobody will see it. It's almost pitch black. 9 seconds to the end of totality there for you. Carhenge, he's right in the middle of those endless miles of prairie in Nebraska.
Okay, David, we're done here. The sun is coming back. It's being regurgitated. Oh, and there's a star in the sky that we can see. Oh, beautiful.
Well, Nick, will you say hello to the folks there at Carhenge in Nebraska for us? One of the most incredible things about this whole event playing out here in America, the first, total solar eclipse in 99 years, traveling from coast to coast across this country. It's also allowing us to see these amazing places. Carhenge right there in Alliance, Nebraska, the invention of a family during a family reunion, and now look, even Nick said he had to travel with an RV from Oklahoma City to make that happen in front of his eyes. When we come back, the shadow of the moon passing through Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nebraska. There's still a long way to go. And as we go to break with our coverage of the Great American Eclipse, a look at some of the images that you've now sent to us. As I said at the top of the broadcast, go to abcnews.com. We'll tell you how to do it. Send your pictures, your videos. We want to experience this with you and with all of the incredible moments you've been able to capture as well. We'll be right back in a moment. And you're back with us covering the Great American Eclipse on ABC News. This is Charleston, South Carolina, just above where, I'm standing right here. And we had been a little nervous here in Charleston. What a beautiful city. But I can look up with my glasses and I can see that really the sun is almost cut in half by the moon at this point. It's really an incredible sight. I can see why people are going essentially nuts across the country as they're witnessing this for the first time in their lifetimes, really, because for many, they haven't seen this. And certainly if you did, it was 38 years ago, 1979, as Frank Reynolds said at the top of the program. But I should mention, we are at the People's Building here in Charleston, and it's an extraordinary building. Even President Taft came at the beginning of the last century to get the view of Charleston. It's the best view of this city, and so we're really looking forward to the progression. I'm not going to look up completely, obviously, at this point, because it's already underway. I do want to get back out to Matt Gutman, because, Matt, that was just really extraordinary, and we give you complete credit for helping us to kick this off in such spectacular fashion. And we knew when we went to you initially, and we could see the sun, shining bright as you were reporting in, that it was going to be a spectacular sight that you witnessed.
You know, David, people talk about it. They had mentioned that it seems like it's maybe twilight, but it went dark. It's as if somebody shut off the light here, the temperature dipped, and the crowd here just roared with delight because nobody can ever fathom something this eerie. Now, one of the little kids I spoke to, his name was Logan, said that he was worried that the sun wouldn't come back, so he started crying. It was one of the most incredible spectacles. Everybody's leaving here happy, even though they are braving this traffic jam. It took a lot of folks 4 hours to get in here, David, just to this location here at Solar Fest, and it's going to take them a lot longer to get out of here, David. But I think they're going with a smile, so that's all that really counts. David?
I know nobody's honking for you to get out of their way. They're all in such good moods after what they just witnessed there. Matt Gutman, thanks to you.
We'll see. Yeah.
They're not going to run you over. You're Matt Gutman. Anyway, I love how Matt asked, you know, was it worth it? 14 hours? And the whole family shouted through the windows. It was absolutely worth it. They had the clearest view yet that we've seen so far. I want to head out to Carbondale, Illinois. Southern Illinois University. TJ Holmes is there. And there's a lot of focus on Carbondale because of the longest totality. And when we talk about long, this is such a fleeting moment across the country. But we're talking, what, 2 minutes, 40 seconds, TJ?
Yeah, that's more than anybody else. We'll take it. And there is a party going on here now, David. You caught me at a time where they just put on Michael Jackson's Billie Jean and instructed the whole place to moonwalk. Now people are in their seats getting ready for the moment, their moment to shine in what they are calling the Eclipse capital, David.
Well, we can't wait. We'll check back in with you. You got some time for those skies to clear a little bit. Not until 2:21 there, max totality. About 2:01 Eastern, 2:02. So about 19 minutes. So hopefully those skies will clear for you. And that's a really important point that TJ makes. It's being called the capital of the eclipse because it's right in the path of totality now, and it will be again in 2024 for a handful of states that will see this about 7 years from now. And we'll have that list for you a little later on in the special. We're too busy dealing with this eclipse right now. When we come back, celebrating, of course, the Great American Eclipse, we're going to head to Kentucky, Tennessee. How will it play out there? The Great American Eclipse, right here. Live coverage on ABC continues right after the break. Back in a moment. Welcome back to live coverage of the Great American Eclipse here on ABC. That, of course, is the wedding party from Joseph, Missouri. Max totality at 2:07. So they are about a minute away. 8 seconds away from max totality there in St. Joseph, Missouri. Talk about a way to kick off a reception.
Oh my God. Wow. This is nuts.
We just want to listen in as this wedding party takes in total darkness after the marriage there of Cameron Kuhn and Samantha Adams. And as you heard earlier, Samantha has been planning this, that they would say their vows in this moment. So many people have come to Joseph, Missouri. There was an owner of one bed and breakfast there, St. Joseph's Shakespeare Chateau Bed and Breakfast. She had no idea this event was even going to happen until a phone call in 2014, 3 years ago, from someone in Spain. They wanted to bring their family to America and stay there. And that's how she knew there was this eclipse coming and that they were in the path of totality there in Joseph. I want to bring in Dr. Walkowicz, who's been watching this live coverage along with us. And we know this is your first eclipse, actually witnessing it from the ground like all of us. And I'm just curious, your reaction to watching day turn into night. For so many of us
really
who never
incredible.
get the chance, obviously, to do what you do.
It's absolutely incredible, but there's something really primal and amazing about seeing something, a celestial event like this, happen with the naked eye. Filled in,
we really don't.
And I just couldn't be more excited.
It's not going to do you any good.
And folks at home are actually watching the live picture from St. Joseph. That was just a sliver of the sun left. And Dr. Walkowicz, you were talking to us about the corona, which is the outermost layer of the solar atmosphere. And just for folks at home, this is something we don't see with the naked eye, except for this. And actually, we've just seen that diamond ring on the backside of the total eclipse in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is just another sight to behold. We want to stick with this live picture in the corner because the length of this is supposed to be about 2 minutes, 38 seconds. And I want to bring in Dr. Hakeem Oluseyi. He's in Casper, Wyoming, watching this with us. He's, of course, at one of the official NASA sites, an astrophysicist himself. And, we've just been taking in some of these things that we don't typically get to see. And to add to what we were just talking about, the corona is far far warmer than the sun's surface itself. Is it not, Doctor?
That's right. You can. It's about 1 million degrees, and it's sustained indefinitely.
Talk to us a little bit about the shadow bands. You know, we're not quite seeing it there. We're seeing just a sliver of the sun left, and that really is dependent on the cloud cover in the area. But a lot of folks have witnessed this already over the course of the afternoon and the late morning if you're watching us in the west. But it's similar to those sort of you know, those spaghetti lights in the bottom of a pool that you see, the shimmering in the middle of the summer.
That's right.
These shadow bands that you see that can be the length of a football field. What is this all about?
Yeah. Yeah, so just like when we look up at the sky and look at stars, the stars twinkle. And the reason why they twinkle is because as the light passes through the Earth's atmosphere, the atmosphere has different layers, and those layers have different density, and it causes the light to change directions, and light travels as a wave, so it can add to itself. And sometimes you get bright areas when it adds, sometimes you get dark areas when it adds. And so what we're seeing here on the ground is the thin crescent of the sun is almost like a star. It's almost a pinpoint of light, and so that pinpoint, as it travels through the atmosphere, delivers these effects.
Whatever it is absolutely stunning. Dr. Hakeem Oluche, who's
wonderful
in Casper, Wyoming right now. Obviously, astrophysicists will be checking back in with you. Doctor, thanks so much. I want to bring in meteorologist Ginger Z, who's also watching these images with us. I know that Ginger is in Nashville, Tennessee, which happens to be right along this route of totality. And Ginger, here in Charleston, I got to put on my glasses to check it out. I just want to do a little status check because we can actually see. Yeah, you can see right through the clouds there. It's like partial sun already here. I'm curious what you're seeing right there in Nashville.
You know, David, I put my glasses on with you because I can't stop staring. Everybody around me, put your glasses on and just look at this. The party is on, David.
Thanks so much, Ginger. And we know you, Ginger. You live for this. This is going to be extraordinary. And the only thing that could sort of like calm the mood, well, there you go. There's some of the classic Nashville noise, but the only thing that can calm the country music for a time is just waiting for this impending American eclipse. Next up, Carbondale, Illinois. I want to go back there because we had checked in with TJ Holmes, and this is the so-called capital of the eclipse. Not only are they getting it this time, but they're going to be in the route next time as well. He was worried about the cloud cover, and as you can see, 5 minutes, 24 seconds now to maximum totality. A giant crowd inside that stadium. Look, I can see sunshine on your face, TJ. I'm pretty excited. Hey, Lucianne, it's David Muir. Can you hear me?
Knock those clouds away.
And David's trying to talk to you. Can you hear David?
Can Lucianne hear me?
Go ahead, David.
I can.
This is just really incredible because, you know, in all of the preparation for this great American eclipse, TJ, you know what I'm talking about, is that so many of the scientists said it all has to do with like a fleeting moment and whether or not a system is passing by with a particular type of cloud that's going to be stubborn. And you guys have brought us into the drama. You've got 45 seconds there, and it all depends on the weather system above you.
We are hitting that moment of totality, so even if you can't see the sun being blocked out right now, we're experiencing this all around us. Go ahead, my photographer here, he can show you this crowd. We got 15,000 people gathered out here for this party. So all around us, darkness has fallen, without question. But
hey,
people are unfortunately not getting the experience of having these glasses on. Go ahead, my man.
You know, we talked about this earlier. We mentioned the areas in America where your mind is going to be blown and where your heart could be broken by whatever the weather system is above you. I got to tell you, you got 1 minute, 48 seconds left of max totality there in Carbondale. And as folks at home are sort of feeling this moment with everybody in that stadium just hoping for the cloud to pass because you see huge chunks of blue sky above you. So we're with you on this. I should mention for people watching our coverage right now is that this city is one of the very few cities in the path of totality just a few years from now in 2024. TJ had mentioned this earlier. It's sort of a rare thing. You know, the next path, TJ, is going to be from the south in Texas, coming across from Mexico into Texas and straight up to the northeast, almost the opposite of the diagonal we're seeing this time.
They all think it's nighttime.
Well, David, I don't know if that was meant to comfort us here necessarily, but yeah, we got 7 years. You tell me I got to wait 7 years, then I can come back here and try it again, essentially. But that's what we have. But right now, you can't tell that there's disappointment. All right, there we go. If you can, David, we're starting to get a little break in the cloud. And if you can't update me about the clock, we might be under 30 seconds left of totality. But we got a cloud that's really messing with us right now, David.
Oh, we feel your pain there. 18 seconds left. If anything changes, TJ, we'll come right back to you. As you mentioned, if any place they can handle the clouds or a moment of...
There it is.
indecisive weather. Oh, you can see it. You can see a little sliver. Look, with 5 seconds left. That's the gift to Carbondale, Illinois. Look at that.
There we go.
Just a hint right there, just before it ended. What an extraordinary gift right there in the last final few seconds.
We'll take it, David. We'll take it.
All right, TJ, thanks to you. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. I want to get to Kelly, Kentucky up next, because Kelly, Kentucky, Clayton Sandell is standing by. Clayton, you had amazing reporting from Kelly, Kentucky over the weekend. You know, it's known, this particular place in Kentucky, because of something that happened back in 1955 on this very day. Clayton, I can see the bright sunshine that actually pretends an excellent moment on the way of Totality.
It is now getting much, much darker here. And I'm going to step out of the way and put on my glasses for a second. Just a tiny, tiny sliver of the sun left here, David. And we
Clayton,
are in
you've got 14
darkness.
seconds.
There it
Clayton,
is,
you
David.
keep your eye to the sky there
Totality.
with your glasses. You've got 2 seconds to Totality. And just look at the reaction in Kelly, Kentucky.
There we go.
The length of their totality is about
Absolutely incredible.
2 minutes, 30 seconds to the end of their totality. You can see everybody with their phones there and their eyewear. You know, normally about 3,000 people in Kelly, Kentucky. Tens of thousands are there now to take this in.
Yeah. About 32,000 in Hopkinsville, but they expected about 150,000 people to show up, and I think they have, David. This is one of the points of greatest eclipse, and they have been planning for this for a very, very long time. 10 years in Hopkinsville, and I want to talk to Angela, who's here from shaking.
Oh my God, I'm shaking. This is insane. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
David, as I look up here, we can actually see the planet Venus. The planet Venus is in the sky, in the night sky, here at almost 2:30 in the afternoon. We can see Venus at this point here in Kelly, Kentucky.
It's safe to look, right?
I love the fact that you can see Venus. Clayton Sandell in Kelly, Kentucky, talking about the fact that you can see stars, you can see planets. You know, many parts of the country, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, obviously the sun's corona, the brightest star in the Leo constellation, and as he just mentioned, Venus in the middle of the day in Kelly, Kentucky. And, you know, he can't see this, nor can the little green monsters who dress the weekend. They've got about 8 seconds left, and keep your eyes on that image to the left of your screen as we watch nighttime turn back into daytime in Kelly, Kentucky. This is also one of the clearest moments we've seen since we came on the air about an hour and a half ago. All right, Clayton, I want to thank you. I see that some of the green monsters have reappeared.
They have, and also if I can have the crowd part here, guys, we can show you behind. We've got a little spacecraft that has landed here in Kelly.
Oh, spacecraft. I love it. Clayton, we're going to come back to you in just a second because I can't miss Ginger Z in Nashville. Ginger's been waiting for this all afternoon, and it's like it's approaching, isn't it, Ginger? 1 minute, 10 seconds to go.
It is so close. It is so close, but we are so close. Right? It's coming back. We're starting to see the edges of the clouds light up again. It is coming back. So I think so far we've missed it. Are you guys doing all right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah? Apparently it doesn't matter. I think a couple of the libations may have helped.
As daylight reappears there in Nashville, but if there's ever a happy city in this country, it's Nashville. They can handle a few clouds, and you're helping to usher them right through that. You know, 5 state capitals, including Nashville today.
Like even if we didn't see that full image here in Nashville, it was still such a gorgeous moment. And it's almost like we're at sunrise again, right here. Right? Doesn't it? It's as if we passed an entire day. That was a quick day, everybody. That was fast. All right, let's head back into
Ginger Z in Nashville. Ginger, our thanks to you, Ginger. You know, we might be up against the same challenge here in Charleston. I'm going to look up right now because I can't see a thing in front of me, but I can't see up to the sky. And I have to tell you, for the first time in about an hour, we can't see anything through the clouds. So we might be faced with the same sort of moment that Ginger had. But, you know, you saw what happened with TJ. You had that entire stadium filled in Carbondale, Illinois, which is actually going to see another total solar eclipse in 2024. They're one of the rarities that are going to see this in just a couple of years. And then the sun came out at the very last second. They were able to see totality. So when we come back here, only one more state to go to view a total eclipse. South Carolina, here we come. As we take you to break, we thank you for sending in your pictures, your images. We're going to show what many of you at home have captured throughout the day. As our coverage of the Great American Eclipse, that's former Vice President Dick Cheney with his hat on, capturing the eclipse. You can see the eyewear elsewhere. That's Senator Lindsey Graham taking a moment from Capitol Hill to take in the Great American Eclipse and some of the faces around this country. Little guys staying home from school today, you know, and across the South, they had a big dilemma where school has reopened, whether or not to take the day off or not. We know here in Charleston, they've allowed them to stay home today. But it was a dilemma for some schools. I say take the day off. This only comes once. It's been 99 years since we waited for this. The Great American Eclipse on ABC. Live coverage continues right after the break. Back in a moment. Back now with ABC News coverage of the Great American Eclipse. This is time-lapse from Madras, Oregon. You can see how quickly day turned to night there and then back. And we saw just moments ago that massive traffic jam, people trying to get out, but they were smiling. Our correspondent there, Matt Gutman, asking the families, some of whom had traveled 14 hours to get there, was it worth it? And they were unanimous from inside that car. We'll check with them halfway through the route back maybe, but they saw a sight to behold, as so many have across this country. I want to get back to Ginger Z in Nashville. And I got to tell you, Ginger, we're facing a very similar, actually, we're seeing the sun. We're seeing the sun. So I'm going to look at the sun and toss it to you.
It's still in place.
Ginger, thanks so much from Nashville. Ginger Z reporting in from Nashville all afternoon. They got a little cheated. They weren't able to see the actual eclipse itself, but they saw it turn pitch black there in Nashville. I want to show you the sky above me right here in Charleston, because we're playing a game with the clouds here too. But you can see a sliver of the sun you can see right through those clouds. And we are not far from max totality here. It's 2:38. We've got less than 10 minutes before it actually gets put to the test here. But we're like so many communities across the country who are waiting to see whether or not we'll see this, you know, this natural wonder. Carbondale, Illinois. At the very last second, the clouds cleared in that city and they were able to see it. In Nashville right before us, it was a game with the clouds. But you're looking live. That was just aerials of Charleston behind me. Beautiful city. And we are surrounded by big, puffy, white sort of cumulus clouds on the lower end. The higher end, we'd have to ask Ginger and Rob. But I want to go back to Columbia, South Carolina. They're not far, obviously, from here. We're the last state before this Great American Eclipse heads out to sea. And as we mentioned before, you know, these happen, you know, once a year, but we often don't see them because they're over water, and we were lucky this year. Let's go to President Trump, who is on the Truman balcony at the White House right now. They're getting ready to look out over the South Lawn, because a reminder that so many of you at home watching us know that even if you're not in the path, that 70-mile wide path, it looks like he's heading back indoors, is he not? But even if you're not in the path, so much of this country is experiencing this today. If it's not a total eclipse, it's a partial eclipse, anywhere from 20% to 100%. Cities like Atlanta seeing, you know, 90% coverage. You can see them looking up from the balcony right there with their glasses on. The president behind that pillar there he is, coming out with Melania, the First Lady, Melania Trump, emerging as they take in what is a breathtaking view. I hope somebody gave the president and the First Lady some approved glasses by NASA. We do know that South Carolina is the next and last state before it heads out to sea. And I want to check in with Rachel Scott, who is in Columbia, South Carolina. Rachel, perhaps you can give us a taste of what we're up against too. What are you seeing? Rachel, we can tell you've got 1 minute 55 seconds left of max totality there in Columbia, South Carolina. You can see it on your screen right there. They're all gathered in the stadium. It's gone dark there. So many children and families gathered. And, you know, we should mention that Columbia, South Carolina is one of 5 state capitals. This is so rare. This is why this is one of the most tweeted, they say probably the most viewed natural wonder ever when it comes to these solar eclipses because of the number of populated cities that were in the path of this total solar eclipse in America. You know, you've got Columbia, South Carolina, Nashville, Jefferson City, Missouri. You had Salem, Oregon, Lincoln, Nebraska, all these state capitals that were right in the path. And look, it is pitch black right now in Columbia, the capital, of course, of South Carolina.
He said we could.
As we look at the pictures, you can see the corona around the sun there. Rachel's smile as well. I want to bring in on the phone as we're looking at these pictures, Bonnie Tyler, because last I checked, Bonnie, your song from the 1980s was the #1 song right now on iTunes. Did you ever think that was about to happen again?
I just sang it live with DNC, and fabulous.
We should mention, as you can hear right now,
turn around. And again.
This is one of those moments, this natural wonder we're experiencing, and me in a split screen with Bonnie Tyler is something I never thought I would witness. Total Eclipse of the Heart is now the most downloaded song on iTunes today, #1, for obvious reasons. And Bonnie Tyler, great to have you on with us. We love the song in the 80s, and we love it in 2017. Yeah. Have a great time on that cruise with that crowd. I want to show you what we're seeing here right where I am in Charleston. If you look up, you can actually see right here in South Carolina, that is the view that we're looking at right here. As we now approach, we have 1 minute 35 seconds to the next totality, which is right where I'm standing in, of course, Charleston. We just watched it in Columbia, the state capital, and what an extraordinary sight they saw in that stadium. And I've got to tell you, I'm surrounded by an incredibly gifted crew. But no one is looking at me right now. They are looking at the sky as they should be. They are capturing the moment. They all have their glasses on. And we are standing on the People's Building, appropriately enough, here in Charleston. And I mentioned earlier in the program, President Taft came to this rooftop in the 1920s because it was one of the best views in this great American city. And now we are taking in the Great American Eclipse. The final stop in a big city, at least, here in the continental United States before this Great American Eclipse heads out to sea. It is pitch black. You can hear cheers throughout the city. You probably can't hear it at home, but you can hear it as we stand on the rooftop of this building. We have gone into complete darkness. And we have watched this play out in so many cities across this country before it even got to us. And there's nothing you can do to prepare for it. It is just breathtaking. People are applauding throughout the harbor, and anyone who's ever been to Charleston knows it's one of the prettiest cities in America. They were so excited and so welcoming, everyone who helped put this production together on this rooftop, and they are now taking it in. If we can look up, and we can see that we are now in a total eclipse. You can see the corona around the sun, which is one of those rare moments where we here on Earth, with the naked eye, can actually see that outer atmosphere of the sun, which we all know is a lot warmer than the sun itself. And we're, of course, waiting for, as it now then comes out of totality in about 56 seconds or so, we'll see that diamond ring again. And we've seen it play over and over again. The diamond ring and Bailey's beads, obviously named after Francis Bailey, the great astronomer who first coined the sunlight peeking its way through the valleys and the craters of the moon. And that's what creates those beads, that beaded effect. And here it comes. We've got 25 seconds left here in Charleston. And you can see how, blessed the folks of Charleston are, and we feel, because look at the cloud cover on the right screen. You can see how many clouds are in the sky. We did not know whether or not this would work for us or not. But we are seeing it. We are seeing it. It's quite visible to the naked eye. We're watching this with so many scientists who joined us today, former astronauts. I want to bring in Dr. Hakeem Oluseyi. And as you take in this image with us, Hakeem, what do you make of the fact that we have all been able to witness now the diamond ring? We're seeing the flash of light as now darkness and nighttime turns back into daylight here in Charleston. What an extraordinary thing to witness.
It completely is.
I've got to tell you, Hakeem, I'm really struck by the luck that kicked in across this continent, from the West Coast to the East Coast, you know, with the exception of Nashville, and they were such good sports about it. But, you know, the clouds parted ways just when it mattered most in so many of these cities along the path to allow Americans to see something that we haven't seen in 99 years. You know, we saw the last one in 79, 38 years ago. That was only part of the country, but this is so unique. It's only the United States. You know, we haven't co-opted this solar eclipse. That's not why we're calling it the Great American Eclipse. We're calling it that because only the United States, the continental United States, is actually seeing this today.
That's right. And what's amazing about it is that it goes from the West Coast to the East Coast. And if you're on the line of totality, you get the full experience. You get to experience the sun going dark. You get to experience the air getting cool. You get to see the shadow of the moon racing across the countryside. I tell you, it's really something, and it's so amazing. You understand why people travel all over the world to see them. I'm one of those people, and now I think many more are going to be inspired to join us.
You know, it really puts us in our place as far as our role in the cosmos, doesn't it? The fact that we here on Earth are part of something much bigger.
That's right.
And I have to say, Doctor, we feel lucky right here in Charleston as well to have witnessed the lineup of the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun in the way we haven't seen in our lifetime. When we come back, our coverage of the Great American Eclipse continues as it moves out to sea. So many of you at home sending us your messages, your tweets, and your images. We'll be right back. Back in a moment. That was World News Tonight anchor Frank Reynolds in 1979 promising we'd be back to bring you this event. We certainly didn't know we'd be the ones to keep his promise, but we've been honored to share this Great American Eclipse with all of you at home. I'll see you on World News Tonight.